Is that standard issue, or are you just happy to see me?
Okay, people, today let's take a quick look at the Toylanta 2026 exclusive Four Horsemen Lieutenant Holiday. Special thanks to Brett for sending out an early copy of this so I can take a look at it. Or better yet, show you what you could get if you go to Toylanta at the end of March. Basically, it's a Four Horsemen design figure that uses Four Horsemen line parts in places, but with a splash of G.I. Joe, a dash of military. And really, I liked last year's exclusive so much that I was very, very excited to get this year's. Because there is just something about a figure in camo, isn't there? Communications and Marksman, Lieutenant Holiday. On the side, there's some fire and smoke, a pretty promotional picture, and then an elaborate backstory for Lieutenant Holiday that is very, very interesting. On the back, a beautiful promotional shot, and then the credits, the cast, the people it took to get this figure into our hands. On the side, some rubble sets the mood for this figure. On the top, there is the 4H logo. On bottom, the barcode, the warning, choking hazard, small parts, swallowing hazard, be careful of sharp edges. So, don't put it in your mouth hole and don't stab yourself with it. Also some legalese, another Horseman logo. Let's get this open, see what's going on here. Oh, and look at that. There is definitely a familiarity because of its Legion's roots. But add in the white camo, which I am a complete sucker for, and then the gruffness of this head, and you have your own unique thing. Now, out of the package, it is a lot of last year's ATL 25. Same biceps, same upper arms, same gauntlets, same chest armor, same crotch covers, same pants, different boots. I'm not claiming that these are unique. They may be reused from someone in Cosmic Legions or something like that, but I do like how it changes things up within this platoon, inside this group. It's still the same aesthetic, and now that I look really close, it's the same feet, with the bolts coming over and the steel toes. But I do like that it's different, with Holiday having the shin guards, and then ATL having just the boot tops. Same belt and thigh guards, at least out of the package. Same hands with the cover on the back. And then, of course, I have the shoulder guards on here and different head. A lot of similarities, but I just chalk that up to military fatigues. It's the same gear, different schemes. Plus, we're talking Four Horsemen. There's options to change things up for both figures. But taking a look at the fine details, oh man, I am always amazed at just how much paint the Four Horsemen get into their figures. And sometimes it's not even paint itself, the different colors, it is the intricate details, like all these silver hits on these studs and these buttons and these buckles and this line work in here. Look at the back of the belt with the pouches. There's blacks, there's browns, there's silvers. And yeah, that's only 3 colors, but look, it's a strap, it's a buckle, it's this tube thing, it's this readout, it's whatever this is. Paint hits galore, just here. The gray on top of the black armor piece. Down on the boots, it's not as obvious because it's more of a gunmetal than a silver, and then a gray, and then a black, but here. And on the back, if you put a backpack, you never see any of this, but still, bow. I just noticed the scar on the cheek. That was kind of hidden by the camo paint. 5 o'clock shadow, the baby blues piercing out. I've already taken a few pictures. Out of the package, it was a different neck, but since it was the skin tone head, I put the skin tone neck on. We'll definitely see something different when we get to accessories. Very color coordinated. And maybe that's why I'm so enamored with the whole piece. The thigh pads hang off the belt and are a soft material to get out of the way of articulation. There is glove swivel along with elbow swivel and wrist swivel. That plays into the interchangeability of parts. That's just a Four Horsemen engineering thing because it's the same for the knees. Single hinge, rotation below, which seems odd when you've played with other toy lines, but that's meant to pop off so you can change lower legs, or just sections of lower legs, because there is still boot swivel too, along with thigh swivel. So there's a lot of movement, but when you get to the nitty-gritty of the elbows and the knees, yes, they only go 90. So a bit limited, but at the same time, that just plays into the overall design that we were used to with the various Legions lines. You essentially know what you're going to get, and this is just more of the same. And that's not a bad thing if you collect Four Horsemen. While we're talking articulation, there is a ball going up into the skull with a hinge underneath, and then there is a swivel at the bottom of the neck, which you can turn the head at the top That's more for swapping necks. And actually, I just turned it, didn't I? But you can just go back, turn it, straighten it back out. Quite a bit of up, some down. Nice tilt, left, right. Pin coming out at the shoulder rotates around with a hinge that goes up to there. Hinge at the elbow with in and out swivel. Swivel at the gauntlet. Swivel at the wrist with a hinge up and down on a trigger finger hand. Other hand is grip, and that hinges in and out. Ball joint at the waist, crunches some, arcs back quite a bit. Tilt, tilt, rotation. Pin coming out to the hip, kicks forward and back, and then hinges out. Swivel at the thigh. Hinge at the knee goes back 90. Then there's a swivel below that, and another swivel below that, and then another swivel at the ankle. That goes down to a hinge that goes this far back, forward, and then front-facing pin for rocker. For accessories out of the package, he was sporting 2 grip hands. But then I swapped in a right trigger finger and a left holding the weight of the weapon hand. And there's also the opposite of that, left trigger, right holding weight. So you can have them either right-handed or swap things out, make them dual wield, or if you prefer, make him full-on left-handed. And yes, like a lot of Horseman figures, very tight joints, but I rarely have the fear that I'm going to break anything when I'm popping and swapping. I'm going to jump straight to this because I do not have a clue what this is. Is it a cooler of some kind? An igloo? It's got a handle on top that's on a swivel to carry around, and it also has this turning antenna thing that goes in and out. In fact, it comes out, so you can put it here and up or out or wherever you want to go. There's also a port for the tubing we'll look at in a minute, but there's also a bit more paint than I thought there would be on an accessory like this, where it's just off to the side or laying on the ground. I was going to say, oh, silver stud here, but that's actually, wait a second. That's a hinge. Swing that down, push that forward. What opens up here is, I did not know this was a thing. Can carry it around in the field, and then when you're ready to communicate or relay weapons coordinates or something, and that's a lot more intricate than I thought it was going to be. A lot more detailed, especially in the sculpt department. There are individual keys and buttons, and this thing got the screen and a 4H logo, haha, I get it, and then a couple of buttons, floppy drives. I really enjoy discovering things as we go along in the video, because I was just like, here's a nice chest. I also forgot this band of bullets was on the figure when I got it out of the package. And you can get it on without removing the head if you want to. This is the way it was out of the package. But it does like to ride up under the, well, okay, I just... Never mind, you can pull it out like that. There's these binoculars on a rubbery strap, some silver to the lenses on the outside, and not much in here. Oh, it's actually just... Either way, I like the off bronzy patina to the whole thing. Here's a backpack I've gotten with several of the Four Horsemen Cosmic Legions, I think it is, and then last year's ATL 25. But it's in this year's color scheme, with the overall black, the dark, and then the gray, and some silver, or gunmetal, and that bronzy color again. There's also this antenna with the same color scheme that I've just been putting on here because I kind of like the antenna sticking up. There's also this, which I'm assuming is a flashlight of some kind. Once again, same colors, but there's actually a lens on the end. This is me checking for batteries or whatever. I've been putting that on the other side, but it feels a little looser compared to the tightness of this. And of course that plugs into a rectangle slot on the back. There's also ports on the body, so if you don't like it up there, you can stick it on the belt, or you can stick it on the back of the arm. Actually, Or jumping to the weapons, there is this pistol in all silver. I think we've seen this sculpt a few times. You can also do that. Which seems a little bulky. It's probably more at home on the side of this sniper rifle. Although if you're at a distance, does it matter how much light is shining down towards your target? I'm fairly new to the Legions community, so I'm not sure if this is reuse from something, but it sure fits the character here. There's some silver hits in places for the studs, and then whatever this is up here. And then the strap is very, very nice. At first I thought this was an actual buckle, and you don't know how long I spent trying to push these two tabs together to open it up. But there's also little metal buckles for the end for some adjustment. Not bad like that. But there are also these small clear pegs that you can use to put on the side of the pack maybe. And then those ports on the gun also work for storage to just strap it to the side. Or there's these soft rubber bendy tubes. You can plug those into whatever port you want to and then run it to the pack like some kind of power source maybe. It's an energy weapon, perhaps. But I think the tubes are more meant for the alternate heads. Well, first, let's take a look at this one. It's Holiday on Holiday without the war paint, but otherwise it is just the same sculpt. You can see it scars a lot better though. But then there's this head, and again, this may be reused from something, but it's new to me, I think. That comes with its own neck, which is older Four Horsemen without the hinge under the ball joint. And at first I thought this was a collar piece for the armored up look, for the helmet to go into, to help the camo come up and around, but it's not. It's actually a downed hood that you can put on the exposed neck. And yes, I just figured that out a minute ago. I've been waiting to put it on there because I hadn't put the armored head on yet. But that helps cover some of the gap that's left between the skull and the neck. It does kind of get in the way of looking up though, so in some poses that may be more of a hindrance, but it sure looks great standing there. But again, we're gonna pop that off, and then we're gonna take this neck piece off. We'll put this one on, and then the helmet on top of that. Then we can put the backpack on and port this tube onto the front, maybe? Is it very, very tight? Maybe this is some kind of environment that doesn't allow for regular breathing. I like that as a soldier type. Again, it's a new head for my collection, and oh yeah, that's nice. But even that isn't everything quite yet. I'm gonna put the exposed head back on because there's also some arm options and some belt options. Like we talked about earlier, the Legion's figures are meant to be swapped in places, and you can pop the arm out at the elbow, and you can swap in some lower arms that look like the sleeves are rolled up. And yes, these are marked. There is an R and an L. After you do that, you can either swap these gauntlets onto here, or there's these glove tops, again with some extra paint hits for the buckles. That's beautiful. And these are also marked with an R2 and So far, I've been able to pop everything together without heat, but oh man, those are tough to do. So we are bringing out the heat gun. Probably could have heated it up more, but if you get it on a bit and then twist the same direction, it eventually pops in. And that's neat, but I think I like, oh wait, there's also this belt. I think that's just popping it at the waist, taking this off, putting this on. I do like how that kind of ties up into the top armor a bit more with the color and the studs, but this, oh, you can take off the cod piece, and I'm guessing, yeah, the butt flap is also removable on a peg, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave that on. There we go. I think that's my layout, at least as far as the core goes, because yeah, that belt and these plates and the stuff, it just matches up and down a little better. Not that there's anything wrong with this, and you do lose these ports out here, but you also don't have that bulk on the outside. It kind of streamlines them a bit. These are getting swapped back out. This is my own personal Lieutenant Holiday. Full fatigues, swapped out belt. Well, dang it, one more thing. I'm gonna put this back on there. Now, there is my Lieutenant Holiday, I think. I'm pretty sure That's my preferred look. Size-wise, Holiday stands at, well, essentially exactly 7 inches tall, which fits in perfectly with last year's ATL 25. Also has no problem hanging out with Mythic or Cosmic Legions, which does skew a little larger, which probably looks more at home with NECA's Dungeons & Dragons or McFarlane's DC Multiverse. I'm just realizing that NECA doesn't make a lot of Dungeons & Dragons anymore, and McFarlane's not going to be making DC Multiverse soon. So he's going to look kind of large next to your 1/12 scales, like Hasbro Marvel Legends or Star Wars Black Series. Same goes for Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified Series and Jada Toys Street Fighter, just as other examples. So at the end of the day, another great addition to this subline, this Toylanta team that's been building over the past couple of years. And I do mean past couple, counting this one. That's 2. That would be a couple of years. Makes me wonder what's gonna happen next year. Who's gonna be added to this crew? Who's the specialist? What color will his camo be? I just know I'm a sucker for specialists. And figures of specialists that can also be army builders, which is baked right into the Four Horsemen's basic bodies. And that's what these use. So it goes without saying that if you were to get a couple of these, I know they're exclusive, I know you have to go to, but you know the deal. If you get a couple of Legion's top figures, there are options to make them separate characters. There's the helmet here and the optional parts, but when it comes down to it, I'm a fan of just the basic look for the character itself. Just unmasked, camo across the face, of course, to tie it into the rest of the body, and then full fatigues. No, it's not double jointed. No, it's not as loose and limber as other toy lines, but you know what you're getting into here. You probably have a body just like this, but this one has white and gray and black camo and an attitude for days. If you're gonna be at Toylanta, pick them up and then come by, say hello to me. I don't know where I'm gonna be. I'll be wandering around somewhere looking at toys. But come say hey and we'll talk about whatever comes up. Bye.